The Israeli-Hamas conflict abroad in Gaza is having an increasing effect back in London as well, as Palestinian solidarity protests and Israeli solidarity protests spill onto the streets. Over the weekend, two major protests took place in London. On Saturday, a crowd of more than 100,000 people in support of Palestine marched through the streets of the central city, calling for, among other things, a ceasefire. Now, the protests were largely peaceful, but the Met Police did make 9 arrests on Saturday. 5 of those 9 have since been charged. A Metropolitan Police spokesperson said more than 1,000 officers were on duty as part of the policing operation, and went on to say 9 people were arrested on Saturday, 2 on suspicion of assaulting police officers, and 7 for public order offences. Further 2 people were arrested on Sunday morning on suspicion of inciting racial hatred. Their arrests followed a public appeal about an incident in Trafalgar Square the previous Saturday evening. Meanwhile, on Sunday, around 300 people calling for Hamas to release Israeli hostages gathered outside the Qatari embassy. Now, they stood outside Qatar's embassy in Mayfair holding up Israeli flags, as well as posters which showed the faces and names of some of more than 200 Israeli citizens kidnapped and believed to be alive and held as hostages by Hamas forces inside the Gaza Strip. Why Qatar's embassy? Well, Qatar has tried to position itself as a diplomatic mediator between both sides of the violence, capable, it says, of bridging communication between both Israel and potentially the Hamas forces in Gaza. And the conflict is also having political ramifications for both the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and the leader of the Labour Party, Sir Keir Starmer. Both leaders have been criticised publicly for not using a specific word, ceasefire, in their public proclamations on the Israeli-Hamas conflict, opting to choose instead to word their desire for humanitarian pauses or other similar phrases. London Mayor Sadiq Khan is among several metropolitan mayors across the UK who have broken ranks with their party, in this case the Labour Party, calling explicitly for a ceasefire. Several other Labour frontbench MPs have also broken rank with Sir Keir Starmer as well. Meanwhile, Downing Street says pauses as Israel pummels Gaza with airstrikes are needed to get evacuees out and aid in, but says, again in Downing Street's words, a ceasefire would only serve to benefit Hamas.